So, can everybody see me in the camera? See how I'm orange and red, everything behind me is bluish in color. So, obviously, I'm going to be way more hot than anything else behind me because I've been walking around for the past 3 hours. So, if they take me out of the picture, and I'll demonstrate each group, it actually fluctuates. So with that being said, it's only going to gauge the temperature of what's inside the screen. So what we're looking for here, it is set up to white, hot, black, cold. We're looking for the blues. The blues are going to be colder areas, and it's actually going to fluctuate. So if we're looking for something that's going to move, that's what we're looking for. If something actually starts to grow warmer by 5, 10, 15 degrees, that's thermodynamics in reverse. If you're watching that, that means something nearby is getting colder. A cold spot is brewing somewhere else. I want you to catch that reverse. I want you to catch those cold spots and tell me what they are. Watch them grow colder. Watch them turn black. It cannot see through windows, so kind of keep that in mind too. So if you're looking to go inside Big John's bar here, you can't see inside the windows. It looks at it as one panel of glass. It is not a three-dimensional type product. This is going to go to you, Kirk. You're going to actually hold that horizontal all night long like a cameraman, even if you're not watching it. There's a red square on the screen. Make sure it stays a red square. If it turns to a circle, hit it again. So I'll actually have to splice 2 videos together for you.
Perfect.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
It is recording audio as well, so we'll have 2 points of audio. So
yeah.
All right.
Don't say anything.
All right. Let's see. Let's continue on with temperature real quick. So let's say Kirk is standing where I'm at. We should all know what one of these is by now, right? We've all had our temperature taken, right? So if Kirk is standing where I'm at and he says, Nick, there's a blue spot on that wall. First thing I'm going to actually do is I'm going to debunk it. I'm not going to make anything up for you guys. So I'm going to test the wall all the way across with the red dot. There's a red dot. So I'm going to test the wall. If everything's the same, I now know that that blue space is between Kirk and the wall. Does that make sense? So that's where this guy comes in. This guy will actually help us find where that blue spot is. It gives us the humidity on the top number, and it gives us the temperature on the bottom. So because we're dealing with temperature, I'm going to keep everything over on this corner so that we won't have to intermix. This is not so much as an active tool as when we're trying to actually find something. We want to debunk with this guy first. It is a laser. We'll shoot very, very far. I have rules about lasers that I'll go over with each location. Ghost hunting show fans? Yes? No? Even the skeptics? None of the skeptics raise their hands. So, I don't believe you. Alright. So we use several spirit boxes. What's a spirit box? Spirit box. Yeah, these are cool. This one in particular, newer model, just got it a few months back. Amazing tool. You gotta think of this as a radio sweeper. So it's kind of like when you're scanning a police scanner and you can manually change things. It doesn't do it manually, it does it automatically. I have it set to go at a set even pace. In the event that the person holding this actually hears a radio DJ, a song lyric, or a commercial, or a disembodied voice, I need to know what those things are. The cool thing is if you don't hear anything out of it, we're recording all of this. It has an SD card in it, and you get that recording back tomorrow morning. Even when the volume is on mute in real time, that scared everybody. Even when it's on mute in real time, then it's still recording at a nice even level. So even when I'm talking and it's turned down, it's still only going to record the radio sweeps. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. I'm trying to think. The skeptics. I think I'm going to put the voice on this. So I normally like to have 2 people per spirit box just to verify each other. I will turn this one up so everybody can hear it, especially when we don't have any traffic. Set it to record. Pretty fast. And whenever it stops and we hear something, that's what we want to know what it actually is. So it just goes through the radio stations very quickly. So, skeptic, sons, the 2 of you. Yes, this is all about you. So you only need to know one button. It's already recording. There's a little turnstile wheel right here next to the top button.
Am I supposed to do this?
So
I'm supposed to be looking for something, right?
No, I don't think so. I think you just record. You should record it. But just make sure not to hit that button or else it'll stop recording.
Yeah.
Alright, we got another spirit box. It is the one that you probably see on all of your favorite ghost hunting shows. It is the SB7, very common. It works the exact same way, only it does not record. So, guy going, and literally goes to 2 vehicles. Only because I want to hear you talk more. You haven't said a word since we got here. So literally on the back of the speaker, in the center is a button. It turns it on and off. You can no volume control or anything. That's as loud as it goes. So I really need you guys to kind of verify each other when you hear. Okay? He's like, all right, you got me.
Makes sense that the watch is
Alright, so
close
this is
to
the neuralizer from Men in
love.
Black.
Close to
None of you
10
are going to
because
remember
it's
anything.
out
And we're
outside.
done.
That's why you get to meet everybody.
That's right. Nobody knows anything, but it was unique. That's all they know. This is actually a grid pen. Might actually have to change the batteries. It's normally a lot brighter than this. Okay, so grid pen, what does it do? You will literally see something come through it. It helps us see things that we can't see with the naked eye. That's the cool thing about this. Now, quick demonstration. So you can actually catch the smoke. Kirk, go ahead and grab this on video because it will create a white outline because it will recognize it as an actual object.
I don't know. You may want to ask him.
And we kind of see those green streaks up here. Don't look at the dots at the ground. See that smoke going through and there's green streaks? That's what we're going to be looking for. Did it actually put a white line around it?
I don't know if it did or did.
Okay, I'll have to look at it. So, again, what we're looking for on this guy, it's going to be super quick. It's not going to hang out in there. It's literally going to see it out of the peripheral vision. That's how it's going to work. So, responsible adult, that goes to you.
Okay.
Lasers shoot very, very far.
I don't think I had it the right location. I was trying to shine it more towards his feet, not towards his face.
Alright, I have one
I think
more
that's why
that
I
shoots
didn't get
lasers.
caught.
What's cool about this one is that it's in squares. Why is it in squares? Let's say we actually get something right here, and on the video, and or somebody's taking pictures, I can then take whatever's stuck here in the picture and put it in 3D software, and then you'll have a full 3D image of the apparition that we caught. So I haven't caught anything with it yet because it's relatively new, but this usually goes to the same person, so you actually have both.
Gotta get you both.
Everything's got a little shuffle around. Oh, right. Most important piece. It's going to go to Dad this game. Alright, so intermingling of obviously gadgets is fine within your family. Just let me know when it happens so I'm not calling it a gadget. And again, I don't remember names. So, EMF. This is the first determination that we have that something paranormal is actually happening. It measures 3 different types of EMF. First one's going to be natural from the earth, that's why it's green. The next one's going to be anything electronic, cell phones, wiring, anything electronic. It's going to give us a pulse. We don't want a pulse either. The next thing it's going to do is go completely erratic. Crazy, no rhythmic pulse. We can't make out any kind of signal out of it other than it's going crazy. That's what we're looking for. We will debunk things with this as well. So it doesn't make any noise. So you need to let us know. It's on ready. All you gotta do is hold it flat. It's not a well on Harry Potter. It's literally. Last but not least, my photographer. So you didn't get anything, did you? You guys have a spirit box. You guys have all the temperatures there. You can help me out with it.
Thermometer, right?
It's a laser.
So pictures,
So don't
simple
just-
point and shoot. It's not set for a flash. I do that on purpose because we don't want false positives. The pictures, you will also have all of these. When I say false positive, if I were to take a picture of the window with the flash on, we're going to get a light from the window, and then I have to try to debunk what it is. It's just more work. Why not just get everything from the start? So we're going to try something new. And only because I read about this, and I don't know if it's actually going to work. We're going to go in some places that are pretty dark. Now, there's no flash, so it's going to be very hard to see. So what we're going to try to use is this infrared light, this UV light, to try to actually maybe capture some of those darker spots. There are rules to the camera. Nobody from the ghost hunt besides me can be in a picture. Nobody signed waivers. I don't do legalities. Places with vehicles? Absolutely not. People in Charleston get weird about us taking pictures around their cars. So again, there'll be certain spots where I say, hey, let's grab a picture of that. Or if we're in a lot and it's pretty dark in the corner, I want you to shine this off. Hold the camera as still as possible. If you start moving it around or you're a little jittery, I'm going to have a lot of lights to try to debunk. So if one isn't in the same pattern as all the rest, it's a big problem.
Okay.
It takes a lot of time. Take as many pictures as you like. All right. So,
You good? Talk to her.
questions, comments, concerns about the gadgets you have?
When do we push the button?
Oh, so I'll say spirit box is up.
Okay.
So that's kind of the cue for that. So you guys, yeah, all that stuff. So the first location we go to is literally a practice spot for y'all. I'll direct each one of you on what to do, and then I'll bounce around and try to answer all of your questions individually. It is haunted, but it doesn't have a crazy history, like a long story. So it's a great place for you guys to really play with your gadgets. And last but not least, I use a couple things on my phone. I do have a backup EMF in case it does, your EMF runs out of batteries life. I do have extra batteries, but in case we're in a pinch, I do have one of those. But I use two different kinds of spirit boxes. The first one actually gives us words right in the center. The cool thing about this one is it will actually save the word list for us. This is the 7 o'clock tour. I'm going to clear them out and start you guys off fresh because I already emailed it to myself so I can upload it for their data. Now, 80% of those words are BS. They don't mean anything. This app is meant to be a game and a hoax. But it's a great tool because I'm a true believer in this paranormal world can manipulate electronics. Notice none of you are holding dowsing rods or Ouija boards or tarot cards. We're using electronics. That's what this is. So there's one spirit box. Your first word is divide. That's pretty prominent. Again, 80% of it doesn't mean anything. The second one that I use is a reverse spirit box. The reverse spirit box is great because the audio, the recording, stays on me. I know I talk a lot, folks. We're going to do this. So, but this one is really cool because it's the same FM stations that the spirit boxes are using here, but it's played in reverse. So if something actually comes through in a forward motion to a question that I asked, we now know we have an intelligent answer. So I'm going to play this and walk down the line so everybody can kind of get a gist of what it actually sounds like. It is complete gibberish. In the event I hear something, I repeat what I heard and say rewind by 5 seconds. So your audio, you can literally move it back. So this is what I use to try to communicate. So I can run both spirit boxes at the same time. I just turn the volume up and down. All right, so now that you guys know everything you're going to get back, you're going to get audio, spirit box audio, full strong imaging camera, pictures being taken, and the full word list. That should be enough to keep you guys busy for a little while. So, we started here on purpose. This place was previously known as Cane Rum Bar, as you probably noticed in your Google Maps. But before that, it was called Big John's. It was named after Big John Kennedy from the 1947 Giants football. It's funny. I said something about the date earlier with me not remembering the date. Today is John Kennedy's birthday. So, I want to say he died in 2011, if I'm mistaken. But today's his birthday, so I'm actually expecting some activity, even from the previous tour, on this tour. So even the spirit box that we can't hear right now might be saying things from his teammates, saying happy birthday or congrats or whatever. So, John used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. Okay. So if they were not of age, he would tell the bartender and they'd cut them off. And one night he pissed off 2 guys. They left. They come back the next night and they steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John pulls out his .45 from the back of his pants, shoots, and kills one. The bullet hole is still in the front of this building. Paul, who owned Cane Rum Bar, kept it there. He just covered it with a panel. Things move around in here. The only time I've ever gotten anything was right inside that window with the EMF detector. A couple of times, not always. So that's a good sign. I don't want the same repetitive thing over and over and over again. So it said that anybody that sits in the front of this bar starts to not feel well. Dizzy, headache, queasy, those kind of things. I bring this up on purpose. It's another reason why we start here. I know how paranormal activity is going to affect me. I don't know how it's going to affect any of you. If anybody in your party is not feeling well, I expect someone in your party to speak up for somebody else. Because that person's going to want to say, let's keep going. I've had people pass out, not from the heat, the dead of winter. I've had witches not do well on this tour because there's too much paranormal activity. I'm not making this stuff up. I had to end tours and get people on an ambulance. It's not fun. So, somebody's not feeling well, please speak up for somebody. It's a big deal. Okay? I am CPR trained, I just don't want to use it. Alright, so the other story that goes along with this particular building is if you guys notice the white mantle above your heads, it also wraps around the front of the building. It is also said that a piece of that mantle broke off during our one earthquake in 1886, 7 point something on the Richter, killed somebody, and that person's spirit is said to be seen in the front of the building. Why is the chuckle there?
Because he moved forward.
Oh, he's like, no, I'm not getting it. I haven't proven that, but that's a story that was told to me by the previous owner, Paul. And he's actually seen quite a bit of activity inside here because he used to communicate with John because it was Big John's ball, and he converted it to King Ryan. So, at any rate, we're actually going to head into town that way. So let's go take a hike. Let's get out of this barn.
Yes.
Kirk's like, I'm on it. Let's go.
You're in front, so you gotta keep going.
I know.
Hold that thing out all night long. You get tired, pass it off. I literally had people say, my hand's cramping up. Can I pass it off? Pass it off.
I don't know where we're going, so.
It's okay. I'll leave. Alright, let's wait for everybody to come in. Show you guys a couple of things here, and then we'll let you guys start practicing with you guys. Alright, so a couple of things right here. Crew Cafe behind us is actually haunted. They tell me that there was a suicide that occurred there. I have walked through it with the EMF. I always do a quick scan just to see what's going on. It did get a signal upstairs in the restroom. However, that house used to be a slave home. I know you're looking at it going, Nick, it's huge, but it has been expanded and then given an address. It didn't have an address during this time of the suicide. So I'm having a hard time trying to find in the newspaper what actually happened, or any kind of title or deed to that home. So that'll be an interesting investigation to see what kind of documentation they have. The stop sign just beyond that, if you're any kind of historical buff at all, I want everybody to kind of picture the peninsula of Charleston that you guys are all standing on right now. It was a lot skinnier back in Revolutionary times because everything on the outskirts of it was man-made. We have wharfs and piers and all kinds of things. So the water is this way, is much closer, probably by a whole block. Ship rolls in, shoots a cannon. The cannon lands right at that stop sign. There was a neighborhood there at the time, just like there is today. However, no deaths, no tragedies, no paranormal activity, just a weird little quirk about Charleston history. So, we're standing here for a reason. First off, this is the red barn where they keep the horses for the carriage rides. The horses are still inside. Those of you with lasers cannot be along that wall at all. You will spook the ponies. I'm friends with these folks. I want to keep it that way. That includes the infrared. So where's my temperature person? Same thing. The infrared cannot go inside those windows. It's also the same red barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So we're talking 1860s to 1920s. So we do have a lot of history here. And we just talked about Big John and his teammates, which often come through even on this lot. I am investigating another thing within this area. I won't tell you what it is because it is very, very recent. But I've been getting a lot of activity, so you'll hear me say on the audio if I catch something along those lines. That's for my new investigation. Please disregard it. And it's all for my own record. So until I can prove it, I'm not going to tell my tours about it because it is a very sensitive piece of nature. But we are going to explore here. Nice slow sweeps on the thermal imaging camera, so you're literally going to walk around super slow, kind of learn how the different temperatures will gauge, even on the metal wall, because you'll see the differences. Get a nice base temperature for them to kind of verify some things. They're not synced up, so it might be 2 to 3 degrees off. Spirit boxes are a definite must in here. Those of you with spirit boxes, it's not about just listening. It's also about asking questions. We're not looking for yes or no questions. Even on your audio, Kirk, you can ask questions too. But you want to ask the same question once every 30 seconds until you get an answer for about 2 minutes. If you don't get an answer in about 2 minutes, I say move on. So a good question over here would be like, what color is the barn? What's inside the barn? But you want to ask that question once every 30 seconds or so until you get an answer. If you don't hear anything that you know the answer to, just go straight up with, who do I have with me tonight? And those are questions you'll hear me ask. And a lot of things, because we have everything running, watch the carriage tour folks are going to be coming this way. So, if I ask a question, the answer might actually come up on another spirit box, and I will ask odd questions. So if somebody turns around and says, what's the number 7 mean? I'll laugh and say, I just asked this question, if that makes sense. So it might even come up on audio on either device that way as well. Are you getting readings already? A little bit. So sometimes it'll start here, and sometimes it'll wait till you go all the way there. And I just got the word alarm, so we're not trying to set off any alarms. So trying to see what happens there. What else do we have? Pictures, stay away from cars. So who has a camera? Do you have a camera? Stay away from vehicles. And what else do we have? Spirit boxes we have. You guys have the grids. So the grids, actually, when I usually hand them to the same person, I'm sorry I kind of mixed that up. I usually have this perfect. But normally the same person will hold them side by side. Ghostbuster joke, don't cross the streams. Okay, so kind of how that works. In the event that they say that they see something, that's where I want you coming through and just taking pictures of the grids on the ground. And kind of seeing what we can get. Again, you can take pictures of the legs. I'm sure they're fine with that. No faces whatsoever. So, what else do we got going on? When you get a hot spot, that's where you need to shout and kind of stand still so I can come and work with you. I did get the word harvest.
What's considered hot spot?
I would say if you start getting oranges and reds, that's where we're really going to be paying attention. All right?
So I can laser over here, but not the
Yep.
barn.
And what's weird is right past that palm tree right there on the wall, I don't know why, I get weird things over there with that grid, especially the green one. If that green one starts to go a little dimmer than what it is, let me know. I have spare batteries. We'll change them up. All right, guys, let's go explore and get some spirit boxes up, and let's see what we can capture. I'll start bouncing around with each one of you and answering any kind of questions.
Yeah, so when do I use this? When do I
Which
use,
one? The blue or yellow?
do I use them together? Or?
You can. So
Okay.
this one is more of a debunk. So it's shut off already because it's only going to stay on for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So there's a button on the bottom right of the face, right underneath the, see it? There
Okay.
you go. So the top number is humidity, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to be about 70 to 75, depending on where we're at. And then the bottom is going to be ambient temperature, and they're both being measured from the probe at the top. So because you have it on now, it may actually, looks like it's dropped, and yeah, it's going to start to go up now. So it should probably go up to about 76, 77.
Okay.
And kind of with this guy is really where you want to keep this one active. So that way he can kind of verify, hey, I got a cold spot over here, what is it? And you might see that a blue spot next to a red spot is only a 2-degree difference. But because that's the only thing in the screen, that's kind of like where things get weird, where it's like you want to watch it drop in temperature. So, and get those kind of things. So that way you can kind of help them verify what's going on. I've never tried this correlation before.
Okay.
I thought, and I normally have these devices go to, somebody that's, I don't know how to put this. I don't give lasers to kids normally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Obviously. But we're going to try this with all the temperature pieces all on one end.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you look like you're kind of not into this, Kirk. What's going on? Are you just tired?
No, I'm super
I got
tired.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I don't get,
slept for,
like, to be honest, I don't get folks that aren't into this. Like, every once in a while I'll get a skeptic that's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But everybody that usually comes is super excited. So when I see somebody that looks tired like you, I'm like, I wonder what's going on.
Yeah, no, we slept about 4 hours
We
last
did not
night, and
get
then I
good
got
sleep
up
last
fishing
night.
this
Yeah.
morning, so I was like, I took
And
a
everybody's going
30-minute
fishing.
nap.
Is there like a big sale going on with the fishing trips?
If there is, I didn't get one.
Okay.
But,
I need to wake up.
It's all right.
yeah.
It's all right. I'll keep you awake.
Right?
There'll be lots of excitement. You look like you have a question. What's going on? We got something happening?
I'm tired. I'm sorry. Slept 4 hours last night, and I got a 30-minute nap. Yeah, it's recording. I'm just saying, I'm tired. Yeah, I see what he's saying, though, because, like, if you even look at my hand, right, so it's like, like I was saying, one part of it should be really, here we go. Like, one part of it should be, or you'd think that it'd all be yellow, because it's all hot, but because the watch is less, it's blue, and that's all that's in the frame. So that makes sense.
Ground's definitely hotter.
That makes sense.
you guys hearing anything out of your spare wheels? Alright, we'll turn it up a little bit, just not enough for the horses to hear. So if you're really having a hard time with it, you know, actually let's the three of us come over here and I'll kind of show you what I'm listening for. Kind of give you just to go ahead and turn it up a little bit. Listen and I'll tell you what I hear. Something like Great Night. If somebody's actually here, which I can see over here by this gadget, can you tell us what color the barn is? Something there, I just couldn't make it out. Can you tell us what color the barn is, where the horses are? So I want you guys to think of this as Bumblebee from Transformers. Okay? It's the easiest way to explain it. He talks through the radio, right, to portray what he needs to say, so that's the same principle.
How many of us are here?
That's a question I usually ask.
How many people are in our group?
Something there. So, I need to know what color the barn is.
How many people are in our group?
You hear red? Question is, what color is the barn?
How many people?
Okay, new question. What's inside the barn? I heard option. What type of animal is in the barn? I heard the name Christina. So you get kind of the gist of how I'm listening to it. I'm literally trying to make out anything. So I'm not looking for the word red, I'm not looking for the word horse. I'm looking for, it said option, so there's lots of things inside that barn. It wanted something specific, so I said, what type of animal? If you notice like how I kind of went with the clues on that. That's how I work this whole thing. Just making sure that car was trying to come down here. Alright, so does everybody kind of have a gist of how all their gadgets work? Let's go ahead and shut that down. What do you guys say we go learn some history about Charleston?
Yes.
Alright, let's do this. You stoked. You were pretty quiet at the beginning. I was worried about you too.
I've been saying this all day long.
You guys get the gist of that? Anything on that wall? No. What I thought in the past, those green dots look like water flowing through them. It's happened twice now. And it wasn't anything dealing with what the ground was. It was nice and dry. There was just this weird anomaly. And both times, nobody thought to pull out a video camera to actually video it. It was just that mind.
Careful.
I promise this will not be parking lots all night long. Nice. She's here. She was very active my last tour too. So let me tell you about this lot. I promise it's not going to be lots all night. Let's just kind of be careful with lasers. We're going to keep them low here just because there are a lot of businesses. So you guys are standing in the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So the mansion would have been in the front. Eliza's garden would have been lined up with that white car and the blue dumpster right through here. And then the slave quarters back here in these parking areas where I'm standing. So what's so important about these folks? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew signed our Constitution. The son was raised right here. So that's super important for Charleston. The father was a big political something. I'm not super political guy, so I'm going to move on to Eliza. Eliza comes through with us this place has actually let me down twice, where I've walked through and had absolutely nothing, no EMF or anything. And you can see how the EMF's going off already. So Eliza married Charles so that she can stay here in the United States. Her dad, she's from England, was dying, at least he thought he was, and wanted her home. She said, no, I don't want to come home. So she married Charles so she could stay here. There was like a good 20, 25 year age difference as far as ages go. So Dad got better, they made amends, and Dad starts sending her gifts like he always does. And she was a botanist. She had a garden right here in her own backyard. One of those plants that he happened to send over was indigo. If you guys have done any other tour or have been driving around Charleston at all, you've seen the term indigo somewhere, I promise you. You just didn't realize what it actually was. So indigo makes a blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. We still use it today for denim. If you don't believe me, watch Jeff Goldblum's The World According to Jeff Goldblum. He did a whole episode on denim and shows off the blue indigo. So what's so cool about this is the rice plantations were going downhill. Charleston wasn't always rich until, like, it was rich during the rice plantations, but then when the indigo took over, that's when we really started kicking it up a notch. We're talking colonial times. There were no business women during this time. Eliza was the person who also sold the indigo to the leaders overseas to make it a huge cash crop for not just Charleston, but the entire colonies. So this is a huge deal over here. Nobody ever talks about this, but Eliza is a big deal. So we're going to be speaking to her directly tonight. You're going to hear my audio, and she usually calls me up by name. She called my name out twice when I was just here at 7:30, my last tour. So things to ask Eliza, and I'm not going to give you the answers. She's the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Find out what her maiden name was, because she goes by Eliza blank Pinckney. So find out what that is. It's a 2-syllable name that could also be used as a first name for a male. They had 4 kids. Only one of those was a daughter. Find out what the daughter's name was. Other questions you can ask is what happened to the mansion? What happened to your house? And speak to her directly. Ask her if she has anybody else with her. She'll tell you, husband, Charles, kids, things, those kind of things. What was it? Oh, you can also ask how she died, where she's buried, and how old she was. Very simple answers out of all of those things. And once we actually spend about 10-15 minutes in here, if we don't get those answers, I will tell you and reveal what those answers are. So, directions, absolutely no pictures. Lasers are cool in here, keep them below the wall, including temperatures, nice slow sweeps just like you did with the last walk. Spirit box is definitely up asking those questions, wait that 30 seconds, give it time to answer. EMF is just going to go, usually when it starts here, it's going to be crazy this whole way. Now, I want you to turn around and look at that building for me. Hold up your EMF like you're going to take a selfie. Perfect. A lot of times, most of the time, it will go in sync with that light. I've tested it with video. It's about 2 frames off in sync with what's going on. The light doesn't always blink. It's the paranormal activity that's affecting it. The light sometimes is on. That's like full blast. That's how I know it's going to be a dead night. No pun intended. But when it's blinking, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. Just depends on what's going on here. Now, the last tour, it was pretty weak as far as a blip goes, but we still got some activity out of this location. What else do we have? Temperature checks all the way around for me, and I think I pretty much talked about everything else. The spirit boxes are there, and EMF, you could just play with that wherever you want to go and kind of keep up with the laser grids with the EMF. So stay near the EMF where it's hot. So let's go explore. I'm going to do my own session and kind of keep an eye on y'all, and I'll bounce around here in a few minutes and see what I capture. But find those answers out for me. Let's see what we can figure out.
What's her middle name? What's her maiden? What's her maiden?
Be mindful, cars might be coming in and out. Be mindful of that.
So I think what you're supposed to be doing is if I see like a weird temperature on here, you're supposed to be like double checking it. aluminum can.
You can imagine when I'm doing my own investigations and I have all of this to work with that I can't literally carry everything. I just went to Pennsylvania and did 5 investigations up there. I went to Gettysburg, and I did Little Big Top, Devil's Den, and Jenny Wade House. And Jenny Wade House and another memorial that I went to the next day don't allow any videotapes of anything, or cameras or anything. So I literally had that device in my cargo pocket with the camera just above the pocket. So I have the full walk that I did through there. And I also had that black and red spirit box running in my pocket on mute. So that way I can actually use these gadgets as well. So when I do the podcast episode, I have literally at least, what is that, 1, 2, well actually just the 1, 2, 3, my wife took pictures where we were allowed. So I have all of this data to actually, so when I go into memorial places, and because I did the Flight 93 memorial, which that podcast is actually going to be on 9/11 this week, next week. So that's what I'm doing Monday and Tuesday, is working on that podcast and blog post, because there was a shit ton that came out of that investigation, even though I did everything hidden. But I've been doing nothing but research since I got back from PA. Like I've read 2 books on Flight 93 already. I've watched all the newscasts over. I've watched all the movies, the depictions of everything. So I mean, I have all this data, and I have yet to review the stuff that I actually recorded, because I normally don't get all that data until after I review stuff. But this way, with all these new gadgets that I have, because I didn't have that in my last investigation that I did. So it's like I literally have to kind of. That's why I wear cargo pants all the time, because everywhere I go, the bag's with me, so I never know where I'm going to be. In Pennsylvania, my in-laws are there, so we were going to visit them, and I'm like, you guys are coming ghost hunting. That's all there is to it. I need a shit ton of pictures from you. So, but that's the job. I mean, it's everything that I got to keep up with. But I literally have 5 episodes coming up just from that trip alone.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I did a Frank Lloyd Wright house, which no pictures, and I'm sorry, pictures were allowed, but no video whatsoever. But like I said, the spirit box is running in my pocket, so I have that saved file, so I have to listen to that later. I have that running from my pocket. My wife took some pictures that we were allowed to outside, so I have stuff for the blog post. But I have all this data that nobody even knows I have, and these places aren't even deemed haunted yet. So the Flight 93 hasn't been deemed haunted, but if I actually have evidence.
Is that the one you were talking about before?
Where the plane crashed in Pennsylvania from 9/11. So I mean, they take you right down to the freaking crash site. I mean, it's really cool. But they had this giant, gorgeous memorial to everybody that died, and there's panels upon panels, literally minute by minute, of what was happening with the flight. And my wife and I just actually watched a film called United 93. Like I was crying at the end of it. Like it was like this whole thing has just been super emotional for me. But like just to watch it, and it wasn't like a big blockbuster hit. It's literally just a depiction of the data that they have and the recordings that they have, and it's the same stuff that matched and lined up with the books that I read, because they also have the transcripts. So I knew that was legit. So I mean, it was to watch it like firsthand. It was like, holy shit. Like that's a lot going on. So I can't wait to see what actually comes out of, you know, the data that I recorded. Because now that I know all their names, I know what they did for a living, I know what these people, you know what I mean, like how everything was planned. I know what terms I'm listening for at that point. And I'm probably going to have a ton. I can guarantee it, because I don't put my emotions into any of this. Like I told you, I know how it's going to affect me. I was halfway through it, all the panels, and I was reading and reading and reading. I turned that corner, and I literally had to walk away, because all the pictures of all the people that died from the flight were lined up on a wall.
Oh, really?
It's like a wall memorial of just the pictures. Like, my wife was like, she was throwing me tissues out of her purse. She's like, you all right? She's like, I should have known better to bring you here. I'm like, let's just keep going. Just grab as many pictures as you can. Everything's still recorded. But yeah, it's pretty damn emotional.
Well, yeah, it's like going to the Arizona, the memorial out there. I mean, it's, you know, you're standing on a graveyard of an ocean graveyard, and it's just in every, you know, there's
Be
no
interesting to
talking,
go
everything's
there.
somber.
Yeah.
Your uncle's there.
Yeah. My great uncle's there.
So I get all the time. People ask me about the gadgets and the apps that I use. At the top of your evidence page, there's a link. All the apps that I use have free versions of them. So by all means, this thing is great to play with no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Like you go out in the middle of the water fishing, you probably pick up a few things. Granted, 80% of it will be bullshit. Just like I said, the other 20% is what you want. You might actually get fish, game, you know, anything, hook. You might get those type of things where spirits kind of like watching what you're doing, and you can chat with them.
Yeah.
It happens. I have conversations with people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but they're all on the top of the page. So if you guys are looking to have some fun elsewhere, I don't know if you guys could, you know, even at restaurants that you guys eat at down to, I put this on and put it in the middle of the table. Me and my daughter and my wife, we all watch it. We just wait for something to pop up.
That'd be
I do
interesting.
it all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and especially in a town as old as Charleston, you know, there's a lot of history and
There's a
like.
shit ton here, and you guys are going to learn. Like I said, I try to take you guys to obscure places that you can't get on other tours. And again, nobody talks about this place because what's to look at?
Yeah.
I mean, on a normal ghost walk, they want to show you something.
Yeah.
I want you to investigate it. It actually gives you guys really. This would be my. If I had a grand finale, this would be it. Because the light thing, again, that's true. That's true life. I don't make this shit up. The spirit boxes, I'm going to collaborate with everybody here in a second to see what they heard. I've already got the word house and my name. And I always say rewind by 5 seconds so you guys can verify it. But I go up to this corner because the house caught fire right above here.
Oh.
I go straight there every time. It gives me a good vantage point for all of you guys.
Yeah.
Kind of see what. Let me see what's going on here.
You don't want to interrupt the conversation. No, you're good. You know what year she passed away? It was clear. Like, super clear. We were over there in that corner whenever she said that. Yeah. It was super clear.
78 doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay. You should have 70 when she passed away.
I did get the word house audibly. I don't think I have anything. I did get the word aunt, but there's a story that this place was a restaurant late 1990s, early 2000s called Molly Darcy's. And there was an apparition scene there, but the period of the dress that the woman was wearing wasn't of Eliza's colonial times. So they say that it was Eliza's aunt. You have to remember, a lot of people came to stay with her because this was a vacation town even then. So again, they say it was her aunt, and I did get the word aunt, and I didn't tell you guys that story. It's almost like a reminder, like don't forget about the aunt.
What happened to their house?
Fire.
We heard it. We heard that.
Did you hear fire?
We had fire and then we heard smoke.
I
all
heard
in the
smoke
same
earlier.
30 seconds.
So what's funny is last week I got, hey Eliza, what happened to your house? Blew up. My 7 o'clock tour earlier tonight, hey Eliza, what happened to your house? It blew up, like very slow, clear as day. So you guys can actually go back to the 7 o'clock tour and you can hear that. I'll probably put it on a marker for them. But it said blew up. When I asked what type, she doesn't normally elaborate, but it was very clear. And the fact that I've had it twice now, it must have been some type of fire explosion. And there's a picture of the house with the corner missing and part of the wall missing.
So is this recording too?
That one is not. So that's why I put
okay.
2 people on it so they can verify. And actually it looks like there's 3 people listening. So let's get everybody together.
It'd be interesting to hear it too. The Mary to Charles was like, it was crystal everything clear. Else were kind of put together, but that was like talking to me.
I didn't hear Charles. We did hear Charles. I did.
You heard Charles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't get a middle name or anything.
All right, so let's get everybody grouped together so we can actually all talk. All right. So we got stuff from all the different kinds of spirit boxes. So they heard on their spirit box, married to Charles. They say they heard it pretty clearly, 2 people verified. They also heard the words fire and smoke. I heard the word smoke as well.
You heard fire.
You heard fire? Good. All right, so they also heard the number 78. Not relevant, but Eliza did die at the age of 70. So I'll give you that. Maiden name was Lucas. So Eliza Lucas Pinckney is what you're looking up when you guys go back to your data, and I'll give you some links to look at. What else did I ask you? She died of breast cancer in Philadelphia at the age of 70, and she's buried in Philadelphia. She's not even buried. Her husband's buried here, but she is not. She's buried in Philadelphia. She was up there on business. So, what other
Where did she die?
I don't know. I was getting ready to look that up. Again, I don't like to make stuff up. It wasn't a 78. 1793.
And they knew she had breast cancer?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. That early.
The sons'
Yeah.
names were Charles, as I told you, Thomas, Harriet, and the other son, there was another one that actually passed. Thomas,
I
Harriet,
actually said
George.
I don't know. I might.
They don't normally talk about the one that passed away, but that baby was just an infant. I want to say it was 6 months old. They don't normally mention that. I found that somewhere. But when I've asked about the son that didn't make it, the very young one, usually everything stops, even the email. So I don't normally tell you guys that bit, just so that we can keep the activity moving. All right, so we're actually going to move on to the next spot. You guys said that you heard a few things, which is good. So I'll have to listen closely to the S-Box audio. That's what that device is called. We're going to be going about 4 blocks up East Bay Street, so absolutely no lasers. Pictures are cool, video is cool. There'll be certain spots with the pictures, like we're going to pass the market. If you want to stop and take a few pics in there, that's fine. If you want to take pictures of the places across the street, just keep the people out of it. And what else? Spirit boxes, by all means, if you can keep listening, that's up to you. The place we're going to, I'm going to be looking for names. So there's a specific name that comes up. I don't tell you what that is, so there's no suggestive thoughts, but he pops up very often. So we're going to head to Lodge Alley. So if I'm walking too fast and you get a little behind, there'll be clay bricks. You make a right, you'll find us. I've lost people before, so I like to give directions here. It's usually a mask-up area on East Bay when it gets busy. So unless you're drinking, smoking, or any of those things, I just don't want anybody getting fined. It's all good. Like I said, given those heated warnings, I'll probably be smoking along the way in my vape. So if you see big clouds, it's not a ghost, it's my vape. It'll show up on your camera. All right, let's head this way.
Yeah, it sounds like. Yeah.
Dude, that's too good. I want to get one of those. What if we go there and just get a shit? I know that's a high tech over there. Dude, they're tearing it down for the next 2 years, so I need to do that too. There's another one. White. It's right
My camera person.
Camera.
Camera. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, sweetheart.
Alea.
Alea. So I don't normally capture a whole lot in here, but orbs would always be cool to catch in here because it is very historical patrol. But it's not just very still. Take 2 pictures of everything so I have something to compare it to.
Oh, Jesus. This is my word.
I don't think these pictures are Instagram worthy. Yeah, I feel you. I've taken many a picture that has been deemed not Insta worthy. Mm-hmm. Charleston always has a very specific scent, kind of like you get in New Orleans, where it's like,
New Orleans is.
yeah, it's not as bad as New Orleans. New Orleans always smells like hot garbage. But
Yeah.
Charleston occasionally, it's like, yeah, there it is. You get the waft.
A little bit, but the last time I went to New Orleans, I forgot how bad it smelled.
Yeah.
I was taken aback by how bad it smelled. Still love it. Our count was the night before or the day before.
Remind me tomorrow morning to cancel our reservations here. 'Cause otherwise I'm going to forget. Yeah, I don't feel like eating a bunch of
Well, I think we just keep.
yeah. Well, that's
I mean,
the
after a
problem.
while, it's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've done everything as an adult.
Yeah.
Eaten everything we wanted to.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's like save a couple $100 on dinner.
In the beginning. So, right around 10 to 8 or so. Your name, the word rock, and custom were around the everything around rock. Get your tiny self in front and take a picture of the alley for us.
All right.
I get weird light anomalies down here, so it'll be very interesting. Again, 2 of everything. Yes. Keep it both horizontal, landscape, however you want to call it. Got it? All right. Everybody watch your steps. Especially those seniors.
Yeah. Well, they're for brunch.
Yeah. And I think we could get maybe different food.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. We have such heavy dinners.
Yeah.
And then, like, walk around for 30 minutes and then, all right, I'm going to go to bed. And you just wake up feeling food hungover.
Nice to grab a nap late at night.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty warm down here, right? So this is Lodge Alley, guys. This is one of the oldest streets in Charleston. So when I say it's Lodge Alley, but it was a street, that means people used to live here. So I have the full list of residents dating all the way back to 1790 of the people that lived here and their occupations. So the 2 groups that actually have spirit boxes, did you guys hear any names along the way here?
Okay.
I don't even have it on.
Oh,
Sorry.
you good? Nothing? So I do get a Benjamin that pops up from time to time, and he'll say his name is Ben or Benjamin, and I've had him come up several times while I've been in this alley, and there is a Benjamin that used to live here in 1790. Sometimes there's the same name of John next to it, same year. I know it's a very common name, but a little coincidental for me. So this place, again, water this way, would have been very close to the water. The people that lived here were considered low income. Got the word late. I might be running a little late, which is fine. It's my last tour of the night. You guys can take all the time you want. Wife's going to bed early. We're good. So she doesn't wait up when she got to go to work early. And she works at Best Buy, of all things. So thank you for the extra cell phone, and thank you for all the spare batteries. So, she's also my graphic designer for Stories in a Cemetery, so she designed the logo from scratch. She looks at all of the photos and helps me debunk things. Like, this is legit. Like, she's part of the business. She does all my photos for Facebook and all that other junk. But anyway, enough about my awesome wife. So, and she does not listen to these, so I'm not bragging for her. So, I do all the listening. So where was I? So the people that lived here were low income. They know this because they did an archaeological dig in between these clay bricks that you guys just walked on that are super bumpy. They're not normal bricks. They're made out of clay. They found their silverware, some of their tools, little articles of their clothing, like little snippets of it. So that way they know what kind of people they were. Very cool article. I was just going to say article. Like, it's in the Charleston Historical Society. Like, it's a 47, 48-page document. That's where the list of residents are. In the event that I actually hear a name from the spirit boxes or get one on mine, I will give you that document so you guys can read it for yourselves. Very cool place. The reason why I mentioned the heat down here, this is where the Masons used to meet. So on a hot, sticky night like this, they would be down here in suits and suspenders, talking business. Kind of BS to me. I'm not coming down here and just kind of like, I need shorts. So this is where they used to meet. It's a pretty cool place. I have caught shadow people at the top of the alley, so I want you guys to pay special attention to the thermal imaging camera up there. Kirk, give us a nice good 360 once you reach the darkened area. I want to see what's going on up there. If you want to take pictures up there with that extra flashlight I gave you, that'd be perfect. But once we leave the alley, I want you to turn around and get a picture going the opposite way as well, so we can kind of debunk some things. In the event we actually have an anomaly show up. I have caught orbs, shadow people. This is a weird alley. What's funny is I used to talk about a previous investigation I did with a psychic in Myrtle Beach, but it's been so active lately, I just added it to your hunt. So we're going to walk out of here slowly. Wow, that's a nice breeze, huh? It feels good on me. I probably stink, y'all. I'm sorry. But we're going to be hitting a neighborhood, so it's definitely quiet time. Like, we're going to kind of keep our voices low, spirit boxes somewhat low, just audible, and no lasers, because people are watching TV or they're winding down from their long day in business from down here. And we're going to be going directly across the street, and Aaliyah?
Alea, yes.
Aaliyah. It's close, everybody. Did you get that? Aaliyah. She's going to stop and take some pictures for us, and then we're going to go learn about Philadelphia Alley, but you guys are going to kind of hang back and do the extra work for us. So it's going to be cooler. I'd be interested to know how cool that breeze was on the rest of us. So let's kind of walk through snow and see what we get. Let's do that the one thing, so you know what?
So I wonder if they dug the clay up. You said they dug up between the bricks. So I wonder if they just dug that up and put cement, or if this is what this is. No, the bricks are original, correct.
Yeah.
But like a grout, if the grout is kind of an original or not. Well, they probably just made something out of the crushed shellfish. Well, it couldn't be any later than 1677. That's when Charleston was founded.
No, but I'm wondering if they are all original, like.
Oh, yeah, they could be. They have the earthquake thing, though.
They have what?
The earthquake panels.
Earthquake panels.
Yeah, these.
How do you know
These,
they're earthquake panels?
Because they were built to shift for earthquakes, I believe. Yeah, if I remember, that's what it was for. Sense of water. Glass door.
With that flashlight. It's the first time I used it.
I took some with and without, so
Okay,
let's see.
good. Thank you.
You get some without it going back that way? Yeah. Okay.
All right, everybody good? Did you give us a good 360?
I got
Mhm.
two.
Awesome. Let's wait for this truck to pass, and we're going to go across the street this way.
Yeah, I think that's great for. The black circles with the screws in the buildings.
Yeah.
Those for earthquakes, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I
So,
thought.
earthquake bolts.
Yeah.
So what they would do with those is obviously they would help keep the building intact in case everything were to move. That 1886 earthquake scared the shit out of everybody, so they changed it up.
Yeah, I thought that was.
So how old are all the buildings back in the alley?
Which alley? Down there?
Mm-hmm.
So that alley has changed a lot. So I would say, if I had to guess, and not with the article in front of me, probably 1870s.
Okay.
So 1890s, it was starting to convert out of the neighborhood style into more of a business.
So all the buildings that were originally there were torn down?
Yeah.
Or disintegrated? Okay.
Yep, pretty much. So
Well,
there's
the
pictures that I
earthquake
found
probably.
on another article
Yeah.
where it actually showed that particular alley with the houses in it and people sitting out on their porches.
Oh, really?
Oh, that would be interesting
cool.
to see. Yeah.
Really cool stuff. All right, so Leah, this is great picture shot too. So while I'm telling this story, like you have the St. Philip steeple in the background, those kind of things. It looks like he's going to be coming through and lining his people up over there. He's doing the same thing I'm doing. All right, so this is Philadelphia Alley over here. I tell the story out here because this is a very high traffic area, so when we go through, it'll definitely be a mask up area.
Okay.
But we get interrupted a lot, so I tell the story out here so we don't get interrupted because it could turn into a 20-minute story that's really only 4 minutes. So the story goes, this is Philadelphia Alley now because we had to rename it something after dueling became illegal because it was known as Dueler's Alley. We all tell one story, but I want you to Dueler's Alley, as in take 20 paces, turn and shoot. Dueling became illegal and very stupid, so we named it after a city that saved us after one of our many, many fires, hence Philadelphia. So, the story that we all tell, that he's telling right now, is probably the same one, but we have the proof that this is actually legit. Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd moved down here from Rhode Island. He was supposed to get married to a female named Amanda. Her parents just passed away and she got a huge inheritance. The lawyer that was handling all the money told the doctor he was not going to get married to Amanda, and to prove that he wasn't just going after her money, he had to go start his practice somewhere else. He comes down to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Takes him to a bad part of town. Somebody walking by says, no, you don't want to stay here. Let me take you somewhere else. That passerby, his name was Ralph Isaacs. He's the one that likes to come through on my box all the time. So Ralph and the doctor become friends, and he takes him over to 59 Church Street, about a mile and a half. That place actually has some activity in it too, because it was other things after the doctor left. So what happened between the two of them, the doctor became higher up in the hierarchy of Charleston with his money. He became known as the Whistling Doctor. Google the Whistling Doctor, you'll get a very elongated version of this story. So he's making lots of money. They're good friends. They used to go see plays together. However, with where they sat in the hierarchy, they also sat in different seats in the theater. So they had to talk about the play afterwards. They go see Richard III from Shakespeare. That much is known for sure. They get into an argument about one of the actresses. The doctor loved her. Ralph did not. It turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home. Enough to piss off the doctor and go separate ways from his friend Ralph. Now, Ralph, being from Charleston and has ties with the newspaper, got the word demographic, which is interesting. I just talked about hierarchies, so I'll take it. But anyway, he has ties with the newspaper, so he writes in the newspaper what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's not from here, he takes all of our money, he's a jerk, whatever. The doctor gets pissed off and he says, fine, let's go down here and we're going to settle it in Dueler's Alley. So they come down here, back to back, take 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just want to make a point that what they were arguing about was stupid, showing that he was willing to forget. However, Ralph shot his buddy below the knees. One shot in each leg. He didn't kill him. Now, the loser of a duel is normally what? Dead, right? So, to the right over here, there's a gate. Actually, it's an opening in the original wall of Dueler's Alley. The loser of the duel would normally go through that wall and over to St. Philip's Cemetery, dropped in their grave, and everybody goes celebrate the winner with a pint. That's normally how things went back in the 1800s. However, the doctor didn't die. So his friends pick him up, they carry him over to 59 Church Street, put him in his bed, and he dies 10 days later. Now, this alley, they say you can hear the whistles as you're going by. No matter if you're here during the daytime or nighttime, it is this quiet back here. We're 2 blocks away from East Bay Street, the big hustle and bustle where I was screaming over stuff. It's always like this back here. This is probably one of the most beautiful places we have in Charleston. So it's a great picture place just for tourism. But I will also tell you, well, they say you can also hear some of the gunshots. I haven't caught any gunshots, but I have caught 2 whistles in the past year that I've been doing this that I could not debunk. So take that for what it's worth. The bricks on the ground that we're going to walk on, these ones up here were replaced in the 1990s. As we walk, they're going to get older. The very end, and it is a resident area, and we have to kind of move quickly, I'll point things out, but those bricks were sun-dried by slave children, which means they were turned once every hour to dry in the sun. Some of them still have fingerprints in them, and we have 1 full handprint on there. It's just a piece of Charleston history that I like to show off during the tour. Just let's face it, slavery was part of our history and our culture. So I will point it out, but we will move very quickly off to the left. I'll point it out to the person behind me. If we want to get a picture, by all means take a picture. I would love to see that under the UV light, by the way. And let's just kind of see what we can capture. When you're listening to your audio, this is the place to actually turn it up and really give it a listen, even if you're watching the video. So spirit boxes you can listen to, kind of keep them low, because there are other tours that might be through there, and or at the very end, there's a residence. We don't want to disturb the gentleman that lives there. He's not a believer in that the handprint is real. I don't know how you can fake that, but whatever. Like, I've had arguments with the guy. What else do we have? Lasers are okay. Won't really catch much. The EMF, you're not going to get anything. It's usually a dead spot, but I usually see what I capture out of my visual sphere. The thermal imaging is definitely going to get us some weird spots. So, again, let's be mindful of the other tours. It's definitely a masked up location. I'll definitely be wearing mine.
Yes, it did.
It's a great tour. Alright, so none of you are from Charleston, right? None of you live here? No, I don't think so. So I could lie to you guys all night and you won't know any different. Awesome. Alright, let's go through the gate. You guys want to see the death gate first? If there's no tour right there? See that?
Oh, yeah, this, okay. Yeah, it's just that when we went last time, we were looking at it this way, so it was
We're going to walk through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where's the Leah? Capture us a picture that way while there's
This way?
nobody there. So the gate is up here. Drop dead. Pick them up. Cemetery right below that gate. There's actually two sides of the cemetery. So
Well, they're dying.
Well, they were dying. They just stuck them in the grave and then they'd go down to 31st Street, he said. I think that was
when I
good.
don't know what something is, I will actually give.
No, but they just
The
threw him in
definition.
there. And then his friends came back, got him, and put him in bed. He died tomorrow. Is that?
Congruism? I don't know what it means. English major, don't know what the word means. It's okay. Not afraid to ask. Alright, we're actually going to head this way, so let's kind of keep things going.
What was the word? What was the word? Congruism?
Yeah, I was thinking like I'm ruined.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's head for Krispy Kreme Smile with Breakfast. The Krispy Kreme Smile with Breakfast.
Yeah, what about him?
Excited for it.
Oh, it's cooler down here.
Yeah.
Well, according to my computer thing, it's cooler down here.
No, this one says the same thing.
Oh, really?
Try to grab a picture of this with that light too. It doesn't show up in the dark, so try it with the UV light. See what happens.
Here, let me hold the light.
It's interesting that it picks up, so it grabs it, and it puts that thing around it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not about getting the word.
Yeah. Well, that's the in Charlotte. They had a huge fire as well, and most of the homes were built out of wood, so they all went up in flames. But
Does Charlotte have a lot of old history?
oh yeah, Charlotte's an old town as well. And you have to remember that everything down here was established 1700s. I mean, it's not England old, but
These houses are beautiful.
you know. Well, I should say Europe, not England.
That's my eyes. That wasn't my eyeball.
Where's it over? Oh, right there.
I need to take a picture of this. If you don't mind your tootsies being in it.
You got two goods.
Yeah.
See that? But
Kind of creepy, actually.
But that's, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, does it look like a handprint? Yeah, absolutely. Is it probably? If it was made by slave children, yeah, there's a good chance. But when something's been there for 250 years, sometimes a weird pattern. I mean, nature has a way of doing things, and you look at it like, it's odd. I mean, like,
Sometimes
look,
it is what it is.
well, yeah, and that's it. It's one of those things that's hard to know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just look at some of the stuff around Lake Superior, the way the rocks get formed. It's like, there's no way that
So,
somebody didn't do
one
this.
last
It's
building.
like,
The building behind you guys is the Wagner building. So, the Wagner building is now being used as condos in the back, and they're turning it into a wedding reception area in the front. So, it'll have 3 indoor floors and then a rooftop. So, it'll be considered waterfront, probably about 50 grand for a nice big wedding reception. So, at any rate, this building used to be part of our cotton industry. The last person who owned it as a cotton warehouse was George Pereira. He actually inherited the business from his dad. No idea what he was doing. He got himself into a bunch of debt, up to his ears, was already depressed, silver spoon kid, no clue what he's doing. So he decides he needs to sell all his cotton. Then we get the boll weevil in town. What's the boll weevil? It's a bug that eats cotton. So now he's really up the creek about how to get rid of this thing. He doesn't sell it to the American government, because that's where his debts are anyway. He sells off to the British, just to dump it and get rid of the boll weevil out of Charleston, because that's where most of them were. So he's watching from the second story at the front of the building, facing the water. A British ship rolls up, and they start unloading it from the back garages that you see here, horse and buggy. All the cotton bales are going out. They load it up. Somebody gets too close to the ship with a pipe. The whole thing catches fire. Everybody dies. He watches the whole thing from the second story of the front. Considering which online story you find, some say the Kirk story. Everything I get on my evidence says second story. So when we get to the front, we'll need pictures and thermal imaging of the front, looking for those kind of places. So as he's watching this, he's very depressed. He can't pay off his debts. His dad's legacy's gone. What's he going to do? He piles up all the furniture, swings a noose, and he hangs himself. It said, from time to time, you can see the shadow of the swimming corpse. Now, who actually found him? The newspaper kid the next morning came down to sell his papes on the corner, and crows already got to the body, so it was already kind of mangled. It's pretty gruesome stuff. I get all kinds of things out of this building with the spirit boxes. So I want you guys to listen as we're walking up alongside it very closely, ask what happened to the ship, ask what was on the ship, you can ask all kinds of things. The other eerie thing about this building is where we came out of Philadelphia Alley, if you were to make a right and go up a block, I don't know which way this tour is going to go, but there's a restaurant up there called Hoogan's Porch. Hoogan's Porch is haunted by a dog named Hoogan that the construction crew fed and took care of while they were reconstructing Zoe St. Amon's house into a restaurant. We're going to let the story go by.
We were there yesterday.
Oh, did you? So every time I'm there, I turn this guy on, middle of the table. You never know what's going to pop up. So, yeah. At the top of your evidence page is a list of everything you're using and the apps. And there's 3 versions of the apps.
So is it the... Oh, I'm sorry. You said it's haunted by a dog, but I mean, the other tours, they'd said, like, it was, like, her great aunt or something like that walks around in a black dress. I mean, is that...
So what I get is actually Zoe herself.
Okay.
Zoe was the resident there. She was an elementary school teacher. And I know it's her because her name is spelled Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. That's the name that pops up. When I get her name that pops up, normally you're going to hear on your audio, I'm going to walk across and say, do I have Zoe or do I have George? I'll usually get an answer. And then if it's Zoe, I'll ask, like, hey, what does your house look like now? And I'll get words like food, table, fork, things that relate to a restaurant. She knows. She's still there. Or she'll tell me how she died. She fell down the stairs. So I'll hear fall down and then get the word stairs. Oh, Mirror. That's relevant because you can see her apparition in the mirror of the ladies' room. That's the other legend that occurs there. So there we go. We have something else that actually attaches to it. So I'm thinking Zoe's going to be already chatting with us, so that's who we're after. Even though George, when we get to the front, we still want to look for evidence on your end. Even if you want to cross the street on East Bay and get us a nice back picture, you can. Same thing with you, Aaliyah, if you want to do that. Again, your EMF's is going to go crazy at the front because of the parking meters. And then where's the... Oh, we're going to test... so at the back of this building, everybody kind of take a look at the peak up there. Kind of see how it comes to a point. Now, in the front of that building at the same point, only the top of it is in a different type of stone. It's not brick. And then 5 feet below that, you have the same type of stone again in another kind of decor. At times, those two stones are 30 degrees in difference. And that's usually the nights that I get all kinds of activity out of the spirit boxes. Now, I would say 7 to 12 degrees with the wind factor of the front and the water coming through would probably be relevant, not 30. 30 degrees is a little extreme. And I've had to go all the way up to 30. That's the highest so far. That's why I say that. It could go even lower. This place also used to be a brewery, and that was early 2000s, late 90s. They closed it down because too many hauntings had gone on. Taps would turn on, cold spots with no air conditioning coming through, all kinds of shit would happen. I've been through the front of this building several times during the construction in the daytime because construction stirs paranormal activity up. And that's where you'll see my investigation tomorrow morning because you'll have a link to it. But we're going to walk right alongside of it, so we're going to cross legally twice, and then we're going to go right alongside of the building and make it right in front of it, and we're going to capture some video and audio, and then we'll get some things wrapped up and see what we actually capture. So listen to those spirit boxes on the way up, and let's see if you can capture them.
So should I be pointing that at that?
No. Not. And it just sounded fine.
Why did you say if that should be nuts? The lighting's not crazy.
Dragging plastic. So it sounds like they're dragging plastic. Well, it froze for a second, I think. I think the ghosts come up blue because they're supposed to be a cold apparition. So it would theoretically be, hey, this spot was really dark, or it was really orange and now it's dark blue.
They did get the word spoon, and then I got the word transition. Again, that's where Pugin came into play. It's when they were transitioning the building into a restaurant. So I'll listen closely to my spirit box on the audio tomorrow morning. Did you guys hear anything on yours?
I was just hearing like ghost, John.
John?
Yeah. It's weird,
I can't remember what George's father's name was. I'll have to look that up, but John might be relevant. Because that's occurred before too, because I've gotten the father, I've gotten the word son. I think son was last night that came up on that tour. That makes sense because the imperative was his dad, his son. So that makes sense too. But John might actually be relevant. The other spirit box, what did you guys hear?
Not much, but this one like it says Robert.
Robert?
Yeah.
I do get a lot of names here, and it could be the warehouse workers. Now they got John, which I think might be George's dad. I'll have to dive into that and figure it out. But
Was it Jane? Is it Jane, maybe?
Jane.
Okay.
And Zoe did live with her sister.
Okay.
And I don't remember her name either because I focus on Zoe, so I'll look into that, both of them. So for you, if you can get me a nice clean sweep of the second story window, and then with the gun, I want you to point that gun at the very top. You see that white stone at the very edge? Then you can get us the red dot all the way at the very tip. Right there. What do you got?
68.
Okay. Now go to the circular one there in the center. Right there. What do you got there?
76.
Okay. So not much of a difference. We only have 8 degrees. I'm going to take it as that's the wind blowing through. Again, sometimes it's crazy. They got some words on their spirit box that might be relevant. They do have definitely a bunch of names. If you can grab some pictures, you just want to walk all the way down. You probably won't need that light because I can brighten those up on the dark spots. Let me know if you see any of those blue windows turn black.
Turn black?
All right.
Huh. Yeah, it's gonna go like this. Start over here. And then work my way over. There you go.
I'll take your and let's go ahead and get your camera. Hit that red square for me so it stops and give it a second. And then the other spirit box, I'll take that one.